Right, well that was easy enough. Let's fill that up, dunk it in and see what the difference is. So I'll just sneak the lid off on this and you can see how gross the water is already in here. It's doing its job real well. And there we go folks, one rebuilt Weber. It looks a million times better than when we started. Pretty glad I bought that machine, to be honest. Welcome back everybody to part 12 of our Restoration Roulette series. We're doing our MK1 Escort. So I think the 2-month build is out the window. We've only got a couple of days left and we've not even painted it, but we're under budget, so that's all good. So you can tell Keith's in his primer gear. What are we doing today, Keith?
We're going to fire and then do something.
Right, sound. Well, let's get cracking. Right, so we're starting with the etch, Keith. Why are we putting etch on this car?
Right, some people do, some people don't. I do because etch obviously keys to the metal and we've got metal filler.
Yeah, all different surfaces, isn't it? So for people who don't know much about bodywork like me, it's like a super glue.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Because we've got like some metal surfaces that have been shot blasted, so that's rough, and then some that's been sanded.
Yep.
And then we've got filler, stopper, there's loads of different surfaces. We want this 2-pack I-build primer that's going on after to super stick to that body.
Stick to everything, yeah. So I'll just give it one light coat of etch and then that keys everything.
Yeah.
And then I put the 2-pack primer, which is a filler primer.
Yeah.
That obviously fills all the discrepancies, bits and pieces that I've accidentally missed. Goes in every nook and cranny.
Yeah. So how's that filler primer mixed?
It's some are 5-to-1, some are 4-to-1. The one that we're using is 5-to-1.
Yeah, so it's like 5 parts of the paint.
Yeah, to 1 part activator.
Yeah.
And so again, some people put thinners in it to thin it down, but I don't. I like to have it nice and thick and plenty to work with.
Yeah, so it goes on like porridge. It's super thick.
Bogey snot pie.
Yeah, but it is sandable. So when we flat it back, we don't want to go too far through this primer. So
I put a guide coat on, which I use any paint that I've got left over. It doesn't matter. Some people use aerosol black. I just think, well, it's cheaper to use a bit of paint. Yeah, as long as it's a dark colour.
Yeah, so we've gone over it with a guide coat. And then when we flat it back, if there is a little dimple in the body, it stays in whatever colour we've guided.
Stays whatever colour, yeah.
And then we can see it and we can go around and sort the little marks out.
Yeah.
And it's probably the worst, dustiest, horrible job. I mean, my fingerprints are missing now, I think, because of doing this. But it's Keith's favourite job, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic. Very therapeutic. I know it sounds stupid, but it's hard work, but flattening it down to smooth and then thinking that paint's going over it, it just gives you a buzz. And then get it outside, blow it all off.
Yeah, so to blow it off this time, I bought Keith a new toy. Instead of using the tiny airline, he can actually push it downwards and float over the top of the car. Look at that.
Yeah, it's like bloody Ghostbusters.
Loved doing that, didn't you? Surprised it didn't blow the car back.
Yes, it was good fun.
Right then, let's talk about the paint. So we always get our paint off Advanced Paints. It's in Chippenham, just down a bit from us. So Ainsley at Advanced Paints had to deal with about 3 million text messages off me trying to find the blue that was on this car originally. Now, if you go on Google, on Wikipedia and stuff like that, it says a blue, but it's not
the wrong one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not actually the right blue that was used on the car. So managed to track down a person that had sprayed the original car, and it's actually a pearlescent blue, but it's a super secret, so we can't tell you what blue it is. So all the paint, the high build, the etch, the 2-pack, we've got a base and solid, lacquer, all the paint was cheaper than 4 litres of paint for my beach buggy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is good. So it was just over 550 quid or whatever it was.
That's the thinners, activators, everything, isn't it?
All of it start to finish, so you can't really moan at that.
No.
And to sweeten the deal, we've got some free mugs, which is always good. I love free stuff. So you might be wondering why we've got 2 tins of paint here. So let's pop the top off and show you why. So there you go, we got 1 pearlescent and 1 solid colour. Now, this is what drove Ainsley nuts at Advanced Paints. because it's hard to match a solid with a pill. So if you chip a pearlescent paint, it's hard to blow it in, isn't it? And then you've got to lacquer it. So I don't really want to lacquer underneath. It's just for cost, as well as it's easier to touch in a solid colour that you don't have to lacquer. So in the engine bay, underneath, inside the car is going to be solid.
Yeah.
And he's matched it well as well, so you can't really tell. And then all the outside panels where we want it to look mint is going to be in the pill and lacquered.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it a coat of wet on wet primer first on the inside and in the engine bay, everywhere, and then put the 2-pack over the top of that.
So wet on wet primer is basically you put it on.
Yeah, just one coat.
I mean, it's not wet when you put the other coat over the top, even though they say wet on wet, but you put it on, you don't touch it, and then within an hour, innit?
Yeah, it's half hour to an hour.
Yeah, an hour, you can put the solid colour straight over the top. So engine bay underneath, inside is going to be wet on wet. They've mixed up a blue primer as well, so we can put the colour straight over, and it's not going over white, so it's going to cover well as well.
Just saves me hassle.
Yeah. So let's get changed and get started painting. So first up, before we do the wet on wet, is
stone chip.
Yep, so we've got to mask it all out. We want stone chip like halfway up the sill, don't we? Well, underneath.
Underneath the sill.
Yeah.
Then wheel arches, all the floor.
Yeah.
Everything that underneath is going to be stone chipped.
So then that gives us protection against stones, because basically instead of a stone hitting a metal body where it will chip, it hits that and it's like rubberized, so it just bounces off and it just protects it. And then next up is our wet on wet primer. So you can see it's not like the same blue as what it's going to be, but it's at least a start of like a baby blue. So the wet on wet is going inside the car, in the engine bay,
in the boot,
but we don't need to put it over the stone chip, do we, underneath?
No.
So next up is the blue that Ainsley mixed up for us, being a real good match to the pearlescent blue that we're putting over the outside. It's going on well. Really like this colour, even though I wanted the Mark 1 grey and
I wanted British Racing green.
Yeah, wanted British Racing green. Just look at that colour, that is proper nice, and it's a good finish too at the end of it. So how many coats?
2 coats.
So it was just 2 coats over that and all inside, and didn't Keith do a good job? I'll give him a pat on the back once he's out of his mucky suit. Okay, the Escort's back up now in the main workshop, ready for the next stage of work. Obviously, Keith painting the outside, he can't do it while it's still on the spit, so we've had to take it off. So the only way you can paint the outside now is if it's on its wheels. So the next stage is engine in, suspension, rear diff, get it rolling so we can push it back up in the booth, get it painted. So a lot of work ahead of us. Let's get cracking. Definitely much easier going in from underneath. Ooh, engine's in. And there we go, folks. It's on its wheels. Exciting times. We're ready to put some paint on the outside. So we've got the engine in, we've got the fuel system in with the tank, we've got all the brakes in and the steering. It's ready to roll down the body shop and into the booth for Keith to paint. So unfortunately, we've run out of time. Today is day 60, so our 2-month build is over. But what a difference 60 working days can make on a Mark 1 Escort. I mean, going back to when we first had it, look at the state of that. Holes everywhere, pretty much every panel patch repaired, rotten to what we have today. It's a different car, not only for the fact that pretty much every panel is different, but it's just a solid Mark 1 Escort. Can't wait to get this on the road. So thanks for everybody watching the videos. As always, please subscribe, it helps us out. It always makes me feel a bit better watching that subscriber count go up. But that's it for this one. So next video will be painting, line marking, so it will be a good one, so stay tuned. So as always, from me, I'll say see you again. Welcome back everybody to Twat. What? Right, let's do it again. Welcome back everybody to part 12 of our one take. Welcome back everybody to part 12 of Restoration Roulette, where we're building our Mark II Escort in 2 months, which probably ain't going to happen. So in today's episode, you would have seen us. Welcome back everybody. So then we push it back into the booth again, and then
it's ready for the lawnmower to start.
Yeah, it's ready for the lawnmower to start up next door when we're trying to do a voiceover. Naughty lawnmower people. We got wind of it.
Yeah, it stinks.
Oh, that mower. Lawnmower place next door is just doing like drag racing with mowers. Oh mate, this is like the smallest room ever for you to fart in. And that clears your nose.
I feel sick.
That's better than Vicks Vapor Rub, that is. Why am I sniffing? Right. Yeah.